Oh, welcome to Saturday morning yoga. I'm so glad that you're here. Studio announcements, just to give us a sense of how we always start our classes. We have word from the governor. May 26th, he says it's okay to open. And for some people, that might be a great date. For us, we're not quite there yet. We have some things that we want to make sure we put into place because we want to be really mindful about our start date. We want to keep our students safe. We want to stay safe. We want to start with as much confidence as we possibly. Look, he doesn't want to step in the camera. We want to start with as much confidence as we possibly can that we're doing the right thing. So we will keep you posted on our start date. But in order to really feel confident, we also need your input. We're sending out a flyer, a survey, and be honest with us. Tell us what you would feel most comfortable with. Be okay with telling us you're not comfortable coming back to the studio, but maybe you'd want to continue studying, doing like a Vimeo kind of subscription. We're trying to do the best that we can to be here for you, which is what we've done really pretty early on in this process of a global pandemic. We want you to stay connected with us. One of the beautiful things is when I see people practicing that I know, or when I get an email or a text or just a response on Facebook from students, you have no idea how much that means to me, to our yoga community, to the teachers, to know that you are still connected to our studio and our practice. And with that, if you're in a position to make any sort of donation, there are donation links on our website, and I think there are donations on YouTube. We have a lot of bills to pay, and with no income coming in, it sure would be great if you're in a position to help, if you could. If you're not in a position to help, keep coming. You really need yoga. So that's the studio announcements. All right, so I'd like to start off in a pose that I have a love-hate relationship with. It's called Hero's Pose, and there's modifications that you can do to come in to start our practice in Hero's Pose. If coming into easy sit, sitting up on a blanket with your knees a little lower than your hips, is your favorite place to start and you don't want to come into Hero's Pose, remember it is always your practice. So to come into Hero's Pose, you've got some options. You can still sit up on the blanket, but you'd want to turn the blanket. But I kind of like sitting up on blocks. Just one block. And you'll bring your knees together, and you'll take your heels outside the space of your hips. So in order for that to happen, you'll need to reach down to the beefy part of your calves and push one out of the way, and then you'll push the other calf out of the way, and that will allow the knees to drop in a little bit deeper. Now, remember, we do things in yoga that we don't necessarily do other places. So reach back, grab your sitting bones, pull them apart, yep, and then see if you can rest the corners of the blocks. Okay, again, we do things in yoga that we don't do other places. So you want to place the corners of the blocks kind of right there, all right? So fool around until you find that spot. Think to yourself, I'm glad I'm not doing this on a video. Yeah, I can see. It's on delayed reaction, so I can see what that looked like. Whew. All right, it's perfect. Perfect for my reading. So once you've settled yourself into this shape, take a breath and just allow yourself to be here this morning. Notice what you notice. Maybe you want to close your eyes. Definitely settle into the rhythm of your breath. Take a full breath in. then open your mouth and exhale out through the mouth, making an audible exhale out. And we'll do that a couple of times at our own pace. Just breathing in through the nose, audibly out through the mouth. And then keeping your eyes closed, or just softly looking down, return back to a natural breathing pattern. This morning I thought we'd start class with a reading from Dana Fall's book called From Root to Bloom. And I feel like at this moment we're all kind of confused, right? We don't know what we're supposed to feel, or whether we're supposed to be confident about going back out into our world, if we're supposed to stay locked down. And Dana Fall's words really resonated with me this morning, and I hope they do with you as well. This is called self-acceptance. In the midst of difficulty, my curiosity is piqued, and I am the lance of self-inquiry into the center of my deepest fears. I give myself permission to feel exactly what I feel, to be just as I am. And in that self-acceptance, I find energy, awareness, and 1,000 gifts I never guessed were with me all along. As we move through our practice this morning, I invite you to notice the gifts of your practice, the way that the practice makes you feel, the potential that your yoga practice finds in you, and the way that shines your potential back to you. Let's bring our hands to heart center and bow our heads to our hearts. And slowly begin to open the eyes, lift the chin, and float the arms up and overhead. Great. And then exhale the hands through the heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale them back through heart center. One more breath, the arms come up and overhead. Anchor down into your seat. Reach up through the tips of the fingers. Begin to explore by hugging the tips of the shoulder blades onto the back, hugging the belly closer to the spine. As you feel your hips get heavy, feel your length. Reach up through the tips of the fingers. Good. Full breath in, full exhale out. Now decide which hand's your right hand. Take it to the opposite knee. Take your left hand and reach towards your right hip. You may not get there. And then take a full breath in, let your spine get long. As you exhale, twist to your left. Use your hands for leverage. So the right hand can give a little bit more space. The back of the left hand can help you find a little more space as you breathe into the space of the twist. And we're not trying to force anything to happen. We're just finding that potential that's been in there all along to deepen into the twist. Then inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, soften your shoulders and go the opposite way. Find that twist the opposite way. So you take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. You'll take the right hand behind your left hip. Inhale the spine long, and again, let your breath open you up. We're just getting started this morning, so there's really no need to feel like you need to get anywhere. Just be where you are. And then we'll come back to center and float the arms up and overhead. Exhale and release your hands towards the floor. Inhale, float your arms up and overhead. Exhale, release your hands back to the floor. Then one more time, we'll reach the arms up and overhead. We'll find that full potential of lengthening from the hip bones up through the fingertips. Good. Finding all that space that's been there all along. Turn your right palm up towards the ceiling. Reach your left hand for the right wrist. Lean over to your left. And anchoring into the right hip, extend from the right hip through the right fingertips. And then you'll come back to center and you'll switch sides. Good. And then come back to center. Release your hands back down to the earth. Turn or come on up into a tabletop pose. Put that block off to the side, or if you're sitting on a blanket, scoot it out of the way. Let's start off in tabletop pose. Wrist creases are underneath the shoulders. Hands are just a little bit broader than the shoulders. If you wore socks down into your yoga space, you may want to take them off now. So we'll come into tabletop, and we'll first explore neutral. So when we're in that neutral space, we've got the shoulders on the back. We have the core engaged towards the back, right? So we're long from the tailbone through to the top of the head. So you're not looking up and you're not looking down. You've got that nice balanced shape. And then as you exhale, reach your belly button up towards the ceiling, curling up into a cat stretch. And then use your in-breath to lift up into your cow. And then it becomes a steady back and forth between cat and cow at your pace. You decide. Because if you're moving at your pace, that's that whole sense of self-acceptance, right? All right, let's come back to a neutral space and slide the left toes to the back edge of the mat. Push into your left heel and start to level out your hips and your shoulders. Feel the left heel pushing back towards the wall behind you. Also, at the same time, feel the strength in the left leg. So you're wrapping the skin to the muscles, and then you're wrapping the muscles around the bone, and that left leg is super strong, but it's also light. You can just float the left heel behind your left hip. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. And exhale, release the toes to the floor. Inhale, lift that left leg strong and light at the same time. Release. And we'll lift it a third time. And release. And let's go to the opposite side. So bring the left knee down, slide the right toes back, hug skin to muscle to bone as you level out the hips and shoulders, and then float that right leg up and over, just up, and then release. So this leg is super strong, but it's also really light. It's not like you're struggling to lift it, you're just floating the right heel behind your hip. And you'll come back to center and release the right knee to the floor. Take a cat stretch. Lift up through to cow. Come back to center. This time reach your left arm towards the front of the room. Plug it in. Full breath in, full breath out. Now take the left arm, turn the palm down, reach it out wide. Keep the shoulders and hips square. Reach the left arm forward, point the fingers forward, pinky towards the floor. Turn the palm down, reach the left hand out wide. Come back to center, pinky down, plug it in. Your left arm is just as light as your left leg was a second ago. All right, now release the left hand and do the same thing on the opposite side. So you'll bring the right arm forward, and then turn the palm down, reach the right arm out to the side, bring the right hand back to center, turn the pinky, plug it in. Palm reaches down, out to the side. Whew, I'm tapping into my plant. All right, come back to center. Pinky points down, third time, out to the side. Good, now release both hands back down to the floor. Take a breath and a cat stretch. Then a cow stretch. Snuggle your shoulders onto your back. Slide the left toes back. Hug the left heel into the left hip. On your in-breath, float the left heel behind your hip. Bend the left knee. Oh, feel that nice quad stretch. So if you've spent a lot of time sitting down, you've stretched out your hamstrings, which means you probably tightened into your quads. So you may really be feeling this at this moment. Breathe here and notice. And release the left leg back down to the floor. Slide your right toes back. Find that quad stretch. Lift the right leg. Bend the right knee. Maybe hug the toes or spread the toes as you hug the toes back towards the hips. Beautiful. Come back to center. Take a breath. Reach that left arm forward. Pinky side down. Plug it in. Now turn the palm. Reach the left hand all the way back next to your left hip. Opening up the shoulder a little bit. Inhale. Bring it back. Release the left hand. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Right hand reaches forward. Pinky side down. Head extends long from the tailbone. Palms reach down. Reach that right hand back next to your right hip. Hug in, hug in, hug in. Feel the balance between shoulders and hips. And then release the right hand to the floor. Take a cat stretch. And then a cow stretch. Good. Now come back to center. Slide your left toes back. Lift your left leg. Float your left heel behind your hip. Bend your left knee. Feel that quad stretch? Let's add to it. Take your right hand out to the side. Reach back and see if you can grab your ankle. If you can't, just reach back. We've already practiced all these steps. So you can add the grabbing of the ankle or you can just reach back. Either way, square your shoulders and your hips. Push into your hand with your ankle. And if you can't reach there, energetically feel that sensation. And feel your head extend from your tailbone. Don't forget to breathe here. Good. Release that. Release that. There we go. Let's do the opposite side. You knew what I meant by that, right? Slide your right toes back. Bend into your right knee. There's the quad stretch. Reach the left arm forward. Reach back. Grab that ankle. Turn your shoulders and your hips square. Flex your toes. Really find the resistance of pushing the foot into the hand and the hand. You can even bend the left elbow a little bit. Maybe get a little more stretch than you thought. And release the hand, release the foot. Good. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Come to neutral, come to child. Knees come wide, big toes kiss together. Your hips get super heavy. Come all the way down with your head, either resting your head on your block or on the floor. Okay, let's come up into table and then step the feet forward to the hands. Keep your knees super bent as you push down to rise all the way up. Reach your arms up and overhead. And exhale your hands to heart center. Good. How do those quads feel? All right, look down at your feet. Make sure they are about hip distance apart. From the middle of the ankle to the second toe. Your toes are pointing forward, right? I have this cheater carpet that really tells you if your feet are lined up. Maybe you've got hardwood floors underneath you. You can use tile or you can just use your imagination. Right? So the feet are balanced, knees are a little soft, core is strong. So think about hugging the belly in and dropping the tailbone down towards the floor. Pull your shoulders onto your back. Good, and your head comes to the top of the spine. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. And exhale the hands through the center of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale back to heart center. Good, one more time, floating on the breath. Hands come to heart center. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Turn the palm up to the ceiling. Reach your left hand for your right wrist. Anchor into that right foot and feel yourself get long as you lean to your left. Engaging the strength of your core. Lengthen through the top of the head. Push into your right foot. Good, and then inhale, come back to center. Switch sides. From that left foot, through the left fingertips, lengthen. Good, inhale, come back to center. Let's try that again. We'll lean over to the left, anchoring into the right foot, extending through the ribs on the right side, through the top of the head. Inhale and come back to center. Try not to turn and twist. Try to stay super long and just lean from that left foot so you still sort of stay within the same plane. Beautiful. Inhale and come back to center. Exhale, take your hands to heart center. All right, you're going to want to stand next to a wall. You don't need to stand against the wall. Some of you may not even need the wall, but I'm going to offer it. It's slow flow. So by standing next to the wall, you have something to hold on to. If you're in the middle of the room, obviously you don't. But either way, we're going to use our core to help us find the space of coming into a nice standing quad stretch. So you can put your hand against the wall if you'd like, or keep your hands next to you wherever, and push into your right foot, and then bend the left knee and reach for your ankle. Now, again, if the ankle feels like it's too far away, you can just bend the knee and reach the heel up. You could also grab your strap and wrap your strap around the top of the foot and come into that stretch. That's why I do like to use the props. I think that they help us find things that maybe we didn't even know we had, that potential again. All right, so we're flexing the toes back towards the knees. Feel your shoulders come up over your hips. Feel your foot push into your hand. Resist your hand into your foot, bringing your head right to the top of the spine. And then you'll just float here on the breath. All right, release the left foot. Take a breath here. Float your arms up and overhead. Feel yourself long. Engage the core as your tailbone drops to the floor. Your heart lifts towards the ceiling. And release your right hand to the wall again if you're using the wall. This time, bring your left knee in front of your left hip. Find all that lining up. Now, some of you may be able to wrap both hands around the left knee. Some of you may be really glad that right hand's on the wall, left hand stays on the knee. Either way, find that lining up again. Hugging the knee in towards the chest. Flexing the toes back towards the knees. Finding that sense of balance. It will help if you focus on a drishti or a focal point. Release the left foot. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So you'll turn and you'll place your hand against the wall if that's where you are this morning. We'll line up and we'll first start off with a quad stretch. Hug the belly in, bend the right knee, reach for the ankle, flex the toes back towards the knees. Put enough resistance, hug that right heel up into the outside of your right hip. Does that remind you of hero's pose that we did earlier? So we're not trying to reach forward at this point. We're using our core. Did I just say at this point? Did I just give you a hint? Hugging the belly, dropping the tailbone. Breathing. Feeling the play, the playfulness back and forth between the foot and the hand. And now we'll release and we'll come into that wind-relieving standing pose. Mary Kate, I don't know if you're out there, but if you are, I always think of you with this pose because you're the one who told me the name of it. You're just going to bring your right knee up, wrap your right hand around the knee, maybe wrap both hands, hug your shoulders onto your back, look down the length of the nose, find your drishti, your focal point. Feel the steady rhythm of your breath. And then release that right foot. Good. All right, now you are going to need your strap. Okay. Again, you can stand right next to a wall. You can stand in the middle of the room. The beautiful thing about balance is if you fall, your mat will catch you. The beautiful thing about practicing in your own space, if you fall, no one will know. The beautiful thing about practicing balance poses in a room full of people is that if you fall, everyone will be so happy that you were the first to go, so that gives them permission to go too. So you see, it's okay to fall. All right, wrap the ball mount of your right foot with the strap, taking one strap in each hand. All right, you may want to stand next to a wall for this. Look down at your feet. Remember how we worked with the railroad. So the feet are parallel to one another. Good. Now, feel your shoulders right over your hips. That's not going to change. Feel your head resting at the top of the spine. That's not going to change. Feel your right foot push against the strap, right, hugging skin to muscle to bone, and then float the right heel in front of you. Awesome. Okay, now walk your hands down the strap, lift the right leg, but only lift it to the point where your shoulders stay over your hips. So unless you're trying out for the Rockettes, there's never a need to lift that leg up high. We want to hug the right heel into the hip joint. Good. And then take both straps into the right hand. Take your left hand to your left hip. Open the right leg. Hug the right heel back into the hip. Float the left arm wide. Good. Turn the corners of your mouth up. It's Saturday. Maybe you have a 12:48 tea time. Maybe you're going out for a hike. Take your straps and reach for the strap with the left hand. Take your right hand to your right hip. Anchor down and feel the shoulders come over the hips. Now cross the midline with the right leg, hugging the right heel back into the hip. Float your right arm out. Good. Breathe. Not just breathing in, but breathe out. Release and come back, bringing the right foot down. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So you'll wrap the strap around the ball out of the left foot. Right, I like you to start off with your feet really balanced. Sometimes as we're trying to lift the leg, we shift the foot that's rooted and grounded. Keep that right foot anchored. If you need to bring the foot back down, just bring it back down. All right, so we've got one strap in each hand. We'll start off by lifting the left leg. Good. And it's okay to notice that one side of your body feels different about balance than the other. It's okay to say, I'm going to go to the wall for this side. All right? So once you've decided that left leg's in a good spot, hugging the left heel back, keeping the shoulders over your hips, take both straps into your left hand, take your right hand to your right hip, open the left leg out. Flex the toes back towards the knees, anchor into that right hip as you extend through the top of the head. Good, maybe you want to open the right arm out to the side. Don't forget to breathe. Good, keep your head resting at the top of the spine. Come back to center. Take your right hand, grab a hold of both straps, anchor the left hip, cross the midline. Float the left arm out. Breathe. If you tap the left foot down and then come back up, that's okay. All right, inhale. Release the left foot. Good. Take the strap. Let it go. All right. Turn. You don't have to. I'm turning. I forgot. I'm turning for the camera. You keep facing the front of your mat. Bend your knees a lot so you're sticking your booty out. Push your hands into the tops of the thighs. And then release your hands down to the floor. All right, so you bent your knees so your hands come to the floor. The hands are a little bit broader than the shoulders. Now step your feet back and bring your shoulders over your wrist creases. You're in a plank pose. Engage the core. Inhale, lift your hips up to the ceiling. Push them back to the wall behind you. Now if you had an extra set of hands, they would push your thighs back just like you did a second ago. Feel the legs straighten just a little bit so we keep the knees bent. And we breathe. We breathe in and we breathe out. All right, now come forward into a plank pose again. Lower down to your knees. Those of you who have been practicing for a while, if you would rather do chaturanga, do that. All right, elbows next to your body. Lower your chest halfway down. And then come all the way down. Rock a little bit from side to side. Lift your right leg, bring the right leg down, strong. Lift the left leg, bring it back down, strong. Look down the length of the nose. Put the hands right next to the chest. Drag your hands back, lift your heart up. Breathing into the shape of your cobra pose. Release your forehead to the earth. Curl your toes. Lift up plank to down dog. So that should feel nice and fluid for you. All right, lower your knees to the floor. Bring your right foot up to your right hand. Use your blocks if you need them. Or use your blocks if you like them. So I like to use the blocks because we want our shoulders to be higher than our hips. And sometimes our hands aren't quite long enough for that to happen. Make sure your right knee is over the ankle. And then inhale, float your arms up and overhead. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. Look down the length of the nose. Hug the legs together. So again, it says skin to muscle to bone, hugging in. Breathing and noticing. Release your hands to the blocks. Step your right foot back. Bring your left foot forward. Left knee is over the ankle. Inhale, lift up. Low lunge. Feel the heart lift. Feel the core engage. Release your hands to the blocks. Let's switch sides again. Take the left knee back. Bring the right knee forward. Slide that left leg back until you feel like there's a little bit of space. If earlier you weren't able to reach back for your ankle and you enjoyed having your strap to help you do that, you can do that now because we're coming into another little quad stretch here. So we'll rise up, low lunge, melt the shoulders, hug the belly, and then bend the left knee. Awesome. Bring that left heel back towards the left hip. Now release your right hand to the block. Release your left hand to the ankle, or wrap the strap around the ankle. Bring your hips and shoulders square. Push your foot into your hand into your foot. Feel the front of that left quad. Looking down the length of the nose. If you're feeling balanced, maybe you would like to reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Hugging in as you lift up through the tips of the fingers. Exhale, release the hands, release the foot, switch sides. Do the same thing on the opposite side. So the left foot comes forward. We've got a nice angle on that right leg. Now you see why I thought the blocks were a good idea. All right? So we start off in our low lunge, and then we add bending into the right knee. Maybe we reach back and grab the right ankle. Now again, just like in balance, we can find one quad a little tighter than the other. Maybe we float the left arm up. Keep the elbows soft, keep the heart lifting. Exhale, release your hands to the blocks. Release the right foot. Take the left knee back to meet the right. Step the feet back into a plank pose. Lift up into downward facing dog. Good. Just enjoy your down dog. Let's lift the right leg, three-legged dog. We'll look to the right hand, float or drag your right foot forward to your right hand. Turn your left heel to the earth. Rise up into your warrior two. So you've got the weight of your shoulders over your hips. You're pushing into the outer edge of the left foot. And you feel the weight of the right knee over the ankle. So you don't want that knee to drop inward. You want it to really reach more towards the right edge of your mat. And here we are just sort of floating in our warrior. Now you may notice that you've grasped with your toes, and sometimes I bring up things I notice that I'm doing. So sometimes it's fun to just lift your toes off the mat, and then you feel it in a different place, right? The toes are too small to do all the work of holding that leg. All right, now let the toes float back to the mat. Drop your left hand, reverse your warrior. Anchoring into that right hip, stretching through the right fingertips. Now take your right forearm, rest it gently on the right knee, or right thigh. And I do mean gently because I'd like you to have enough space to actually roll from your belly and bring your left shoulder over your right. Good. And sometimes people like to reach that left hand forward and plug the left arm into the shoulder joint, then float the left arm up and over the left ear. Extending from the left foot through the left fingertips, turning that pinky down, opening up the front of the body. Just breathing into this space. Now reach for your block, take it behind your right leg, and straighten into the right leg, float the left arm up, triangle pose. So the right hand is not worried about touching the floor, and we're not dumping the weight into the right hand. Good, we're lifting up through the left fingertips. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Look down to the floor. Cartwheel your hands to the front edge of your mat. Palms to the earth, step the right foot back to meet the left. Inhale, lift up, downward facing dog. Breathe and find some balance here. And then lift the left leg, three-legged dog. Step the left foot up to the left hand. Drag the left foot if you need to. Turn your right heel to the earth. Rise up, warrior two. Opposite side. So we're looking out over the left hand. Again, the left knee tracks more to the left edge of your mat. So we don't want to collapse it forward. All right. Breathe. Trying to hold it the same amount of time as I did on the other side. Drop that right hand, float the left hand up to the ceiling. Good. Now aspire to walk the right fingertips down the right leg, extending into your reverse warrior. Keep that left hip right where it was. And then release the left forearm to the left thigh, but don't dump down. Roll your right shoulder open. Good, reach the right arm up to the ceiling. Maybe again, you'd like to reach the right arm to the front of the room. Plug the arm into the shoulder so you feel your spine lining up. Reach the right arm up. Turn the pinky away from you. And reach, reach, reach over the right ear. Opening up that right shoulder over the left. Feeling your breath. Ease in the middle of your effort. All right, now reach your left hand for the block behind the left leg. Remember, don't grasp with your toes either. All right, straighten into the left leg. Reach the right arm up to the ceiling. Feeling your heart open, feeling your breath flowing. Noticing where you are, accepting your practice. Looking for the good things in your practice. The things that have been there all along. Maybe it's just your dedication to show up. Judy. Good. All right, cartwheel your hands down to the front of your mat. Turn your right heel up. Step your left foot back to meet your right. Plank pose. Lower knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga through. We'll come up into a cobra again. And maybe let's find Sphinx this time. Bring your elbows under your shoulders. Rock a little bit from side to side. Drag your hands back. Pull your heart forward. Push into the tops of the feet. As you look down the length of the nose, feel the strength of your core. Feel the strength of the legs pushing down into the mat. So nothing is doing more than its share in your body. You feel your shoulders strong on your back. You feel your core engaged, so there's length in your low back. You feel the legs participating, right? not just hanging on the floor. All right, lower all the way down. Bring your hands next to your chest. Curl your toes under. Lift up, downward facing dog. Look to your right hand. Step your right foot up to your right hand. Step your left foot halfway up. And turn your left toes out to about, what time is that? 11:30. You've got your two blocks, framing the right leg. Push down into both feet and come all the way up. So you set yourself up. Your feet are again lined up like they're on railroad tracks. Your left hip and your right hip are lined up with each other, or are square to the front of your mat. My bad. All right, take a breath here. Push your heart forward as you push back into your hips. I like to even just bring my hands to the hips to keep the hips square, right? Because it's tempting as we fold forward to take the left hip back. Keep your hips square and release your fingers to the blocks. Extend long through the top of the head. Now start to isometrically drag the legs towards each other, keeping the hips square, keeping the core strong. Push down into both feet. Bring your hands up to your hips. Inhale, rise up. Beautiful. All right, reach your arms up and overhead. Melt your shoulders. Hinging at the hips, reach your heart forward. Push your hips back. Keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching. Now, release your fingertips again towards the blocks. If this feels like, oh, that is enough of a hamstring stretch for you, then it is. Otherwise, go ahead and fold over the right leg. Hips still square? I hope so. Do you guys remember that Huey Lewis song, It's Hip to Be Square? I think I'm allowed to save the names of songs, even if I'm not allowed to play them. All right, blocks off to the side. Let's find our downward facing dog. I like to do it from plank. Inhale, lift up. We'll do runner stretch on the opposite side. Bring your left foot forward to your left hand. Reach for your block. Step your right foot up a little bit and railroad the heels. Inhale, come all the way up. So on this side, the right foot is going to be turned to about 130 or 2. Hands to the hips again. Square the hips off. Push back into the hips, fold over the left leg. Good. As you fold over the left leg, feel your hips and shoulders nice and square. Feel the legs working together. They're in two different spaces, and yet they are working in a balanced way. All right, push down into your feet. Inhale, come back up. Good. Reach the arms up and overhead. Soften the shoulders. Feel yourself get long. Push back into your hips. Reach, 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 reach. Push the hips back. Keep them square. Keep them square. It's hip to be square. And then release your hands to the blocks. This could be your bus stop, or you may want to fold over the left leg. Feel your shoulders hug onto your back. Take your blocks, put them off to the side. I can't remember if this is how we came out of the other side, but this is what we're going to do. Palms to the earth. Step your left foot back to meet your right. You're in plank pose. Back into downward facing dog. Knees come wide, child's pose. Notice the goodness of your practice. Your practice. Nobody watching, nobody deciding what you should be doing or feeling. You deciding. That's a really important part of our practice. And when we practice that on the mat, maybe we get a little bit better about practicing that off the mat. Nobody gets to tell us how we're supposed to respond to this whole world we're in right now. Inhale, come back to center. All right, more good times at the Namaste Home Studio. Grab your block and place it underneath your sitting bones, coming back into that hero's pose we were in earlier. So remember, you want to push the beefy part of your calves out from underneath your thighs, and your heels are resting on the outside of your hips. Lift your heart, feel yourself get long. Float your arms up and overhead. Soften your shoulders. Good. Now, reach your left hand behind you. Reach your right hand behind you. Good. Just take it to a place where you can still breathe. Maybe you bring your palms to the floor. All right. Maybe you release your elbows to the floor. I can't go any further than this. Your knees don't pop up though. Your knees have to stay on the floor. Extending long through the top of the head. Oh, hello, quads. Inhale and come all the way up. Did you guys see that coming? All right. Release the block. Come on to, actually sit up on your blanket. That was a little twist I threw in there. Actually, no, you could have seen it coming. We did the earlier pose of hero's pose. We just did that little stretch back. Okay, so now let's come into mariachi's pose. Bring your right knee so that faces towards the front of your mat. And then bend into your left knee. Hug the left knee in towards your chest. Let yourself get really tall here. Take a breath in. Keep the right hand on the left leg. Take the left hand, reach up towards the ceiling. Bend the left elbow. Take the left elbow on the inside of the left knee. Bend the left elbow from your belly. Twist to your right. Inhale, extend the head long. Twist to your right. You'll use that left elbow like we did earlier, putting some resistance as you find your way into a deeper twist. Release, come back to center. Let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So the left knee will come off the center of your mat. The right foot will hug in. Some of you know that you could cross that leg over if you'd like, but I'm not going to do that this morning. All right, hug in. We'll reach the right arm up. We'll float the right elbow on the inside of the right knee. Bend the right elbow. Twist to your left. Keeping the head resting at the top of the spine. Make your way as you turn to your left from your belly. Use the right elbow and the right knee to guide you into this twist. And then float your way back to center. Take your blanket, move it out of the way, but not too far because you may want this for your Shavasana. So move it out of the way and come onto your backs. Grab your strap. We'll revisit a shape that we did earlier, two of them actually. So come down onto your back. Put your feet on the floor. Wrap the strap around the ball mount of your left foot. Now, if your low back is tender, keep your right foot on the floor. If it's not tender, release the right thigh to the floor. So that's a clue. If the thigh isn't anywhere near the floor, maybe you want to keep the right foot on the floor. Okay? One strap in each hand. We'll hang here for a breath until we feel like the weight of the left leg has dropped into the left hip joint. Then take both straps into the left hand, float your right hand out to the side, anchor your right shoulder to the floor, and let the left leg drop over to your left. Once you feel like you've gone far enough and you know what that would be, hug the right or the left heel into the left hip. Feel yourself breathing and feel yourself nice and balanced. So even though your body is physically not in a balanced shape, your breath is. Your thoughts are. Inhale and bring that left leg up towards the ceiling. Reach your right hand for the strap. Take your left arm out to the side and drop your left leg all the way over to the right, bringing it over the right leg. Feel that space along the left side of your body. Feel yourself releasing into the space of your twist. And then inhale and come back up to center. Take the right leg up to meet the left in the strap. Reaching your hands up the strap, melt the shoulders towards the floor. So this is really legs up the wall without the wall. And then release the left foot to the floor. Reach the right heel up. And again, we're waiting until we feel the weight of the right leg drop into the right hip. Both straps come into the right hand. Keep that left hip and shoulder anchored down as you open the right leg out to the side, flexing the toes back towards the knees, hugging the right heel into the hip joint. Be okay with whatever space you're finding. Inhale, come back to center. Take both straps into the left hand. Add the twist. Float the right arm out to the side. Anchor into the right shoulder as you reach the right heel to the opposite side. Hugging that leg into the hip. Breathing and feeling what you are noticing. Inhale, come back to center. Come into that legs up the wall again with the strap wrapped around the ball mount of the feet. Melt your shoulders to the floor. Vriparini Karini if you're throwing around Sanskrit. And if I mispronounced it, don't forget, it's a dead language. Nobody really knows how it's supposed to be pronounced. That's my version. Feel what you're feeling. So for me right now, I'm feeling lots of hamstring stretch. My hamstrings tend to be tight. Release both feet down to the floor. Let's come into that wind relieving pose. Hug your right knee into your chest. Straighten your left heel in front of you. Breathe. And if this feels good and you want to stay here, please do. If you'd like to add half happy baby pose, take your right hand, reach for the outside of your right ankle or maybe the outside of your right foot and send your right heel up towards the ceiling. Release your right foot to the floor. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So first we'll start off by hugging the left knee into the chest and straightening through the right leg. And this is a great place to stop and just sort of feel and notice what you're feeling and noticing. Now if you'd like to come into half happy baby or Ardha Balasana, half is Ardha Balasana baby, I think. All right, wrap your left hand around your left foot, maybe around the back of your left thigh or ankle, just where you can find a little more space in the hips. Opening the hips help ground us. Okay, release the left foot. Hug both knees into the chest. Rock from side to side. And we'll come into one last symmetrical pose of happy baby pose. Take your arms in between your legs. Reach for your thighs, and the back of your thighs, your calves, Your ankles may be the outside of your feet. Reach your feet up to the ceiling. Melt your knees down to the floor. Rock a little bit from side to side. We'll bring the feet together, back down to the floor. We'll set up for Shavasana. If you wore socks or sweatshirt, you may want to put those things on. If you have a blanket, you may want to put the blanket underneath your knees for a little bit of support, or you may want to put the blanket over you. We'll spend some time in Shavasana. So we want to be really mindful that we feel good, that we feel like we can rest in our Shavasana. Make your way down onto your backs. Rest your hands down next to your hips. The palms face open, and you want to be symmetrical. So if your right palm is touching your mat, well, I'm super crazy about how I like it to be, but you want it to be symmetrical, okay? Right hand and left hand equally resting on the floor. Close your eyes, take a full breath in, and an audible exhale out. We'll do that again 2 more times. Full breath in. Surrender into your Shavasana. Take a full breath in and exhale it out. If you feel like resting in Shavasana a little longer, know that that is always a possibility for you. If you'd like to start to wiggle your fingers and toes to welcome awareness back to your body, and then bend into your knees and roll and rest on your right side, finding your way. 3 full rounds of breath here, resting on your sides. Whenever you're ready, come up into a seated pose. Keep your eyes closed or just gently looking down. Stay really present to your practice. And again, let's share from Root to Bloom, Dana Fall's poem, Self-Acceptance. In the midst of difficulty, my curiosity is piqued, and I aim the lance of self-inquiry into the center of my deepest fears. I give myself permission to feel exactly what I feel, to be just as I am, and in that self-acceptance, I find energy, awareness, and 1,000 gifts I never guessed were with me all along. Let's bring our hands to heart center. Again, thank you so much for sharing your practice this morning. As always, I'm honored to sit in the seat of teacher. With love and gratitude, namaste.